Hey everyone, Tankenstein here, and welcome to Spade. In this episode, I'll be showcasing the Yak-17. This is a currently rank 5 battle rating 6.7 jet fighter for the Russian air tech tree. This vehicle sits in the same exact spot as the Yak-15P and also the Yak-15, which makes it perfect for Spade, being that this is a totally optional vehicle to unlock. Now that being said, as always in Spade, I put this through 3 matches. First match being totally stock, second match being about halfway spaded, and the third match being fully spaded, so you can get a good idea based on how the gameplay goes, and also how I review the plane as the vehicle progresses through its modifications, so you know whether or not this vehicle is worth unlocking and grinding, or if you should just leave it in the tech tree. Now that being said, there are some key differences to take note in the Yak-17. One, you do have a different landing gear setup, so in the Yak-17 there is a landing gear underneath the nose, which makes it substantially easier to land as opposed to the Yak-15 and 15P. You also have wing-mounted fuel pods right on the tips of the wings, and there is also some different gauge clustering in the cockpit, as well as an armored bulletproof glass right there in the front of the cockpit, so it does protect you as opposed to the Yak-15 models, which do not have bulletproof glass. Now that being said, I've gone over this plane enough, so let's see how it performs. Get into it. Now, first and foremost, I can tell you, as I'm getting closer to these vehicles, I'll probably go for this A1H. The Yak-17 fully stock, of course this is the fully stock match, feels slow. Of course, you know, all Yak-15, 17s, they're all pretty slow, but maybe it's because I'm coming down from playing with MiG-21s and F4s and F-16s and all that, but this just seems very, very slow. And I'm wondering if these fuel pods, the fuel tanks on the wings, are going to impact performance as opposed to the Yak-15. It'd be very interesting, in my opinion, to see if that actually does happen. So I got myself a crit. Those shots are not doing much on them, and it looks like this Yak-3 might finish them off. Maybe not. I don't have air brakes, it looks like, but I think that was the same on the Yak-15. So let's actually hit him. Okay. Finally dismantled that wing. Not too bad. I'm not going to say it was impressive. The performance of this plane turning and I think energy retention, I didn't really check out my speed on that, but the energy retention seemed pretty decent. But again, the cannons not so much. Now bear in mind, I already fully spaded the Yak-15P and the Yak-15. So even though I haven't played them in a while, I do still have some semblance of how they play. And this just seems obviously about the same. Like I said in the intro, the Yak-17 and the Yak-15 are very, very similar. Really, the biggest differences are the fuel tanks on the wings, the landing gear, I believe, what was it, tricycle landing gear as opposed to the Yak-15, which doesn't have that, and also an armored windscreen, and also a slightly different gauge cluster. So there are some differences, but nothing that'll really change how this thing plays all too much. So, except actually, I'm kind of wondering if this thing is going to have issues. Okay, nice, got that. I'm wondering if I'm going to have issues with my wingtips catching fire. I feel like someone's going to come up. Oh, wow. I'm going to go for this F4U down here. Let's see. No hits. Only got 6 shots left, so I really have to make sure I hit. I don't think I will, though. But not too bad thus far. I mean, I've gotten 2 kills. Okay, he's dead. Gonna probably go for this F4U. Hopefully he focuses on someone else. And he will. Maybe not. Got a crit. Not too bad. So I'm gonna just call this a decent enough first showing. I kind of threw myself into the line of danger there. But that's what I do. Ultimately, every single gameplay and match and all that I do, it's for 2 or 3 reasons. 1, so you guys can get a good idea of how the vehicle plays. And 2, because it's more entertaining. I mean, thus far I've got 3 kills with this. Again, fully stock, albeit in a down tier, but very, very impressive thus far. But I think it might just be because it plays to my kind of play style. Good maneuverability on it. Not the best performance, but it handles its energy pretty well, and it's got okay cannons. You just have to kind of make sure that you hit a few times for the most part. By the way, that said, that's the fully stocked match. Let's get into about a halfway spaded match, see how we can do. But thus far, kind of impressed, you know. I mean, again, it's pretty similar to the Yak-17, but yeah, let's see what we can do. So this is the halfway spaded match for the Yak-17, and you know, I can tell you guys this. You know, it feels very similar to the Yak-15. In fact, actually, my KD, my kill-death ratio with this plane, as opposed to the Yak-15, are almost identical. You know, I mean, of course, there are going to be some differences here and there between matches, but for the most part, they are very, very similar. And that's because these planes are pretty much the same. Now, the Yak-17 does weigh slightly more. I believe it weighs a few hundred kilograms more. That difference is not reflected in the stat sheet, so you don't really see that when it comes to the climb rate. You don't see that when it comes to the turn time, anything like that. But I do believe that despite what the stat sheet said, those are a bit different in this vehicle as opposed to, again, the Yak-15. So this one might be, at least in theory, it should be worse when it comes to performance because it is a bit heavier. Now, overall, though, I didn't even realize this until I was already about halfway done with this video, but I have already recorded a Yak-15 stock to spaded. So that video is already done. Which is, in my opinion, ooh, that was ugly. Okay, that wasn't too bad. It was a bit, ooh, what am I doing here? Should get a kill. I'll just let him die. But, you know, I mean, overall, from what I've been noticing, these are very similar. And I'll just say this right now, because I'm already, you know, in this match, but if you want this plane, I feel like this is a great plane for people who love the Yak-15 and what that brings to the table. Okay, I'm going to hopefully get 3 kills here, unless somebody snipes my kill there, that second kill. But again, I mean, this has been pretty much every... Oh, yeah, someone tried killing my guy, and they did it. Fantastic. Anyways, when it comes down to it, the Yak-17 thus far, and of course I saw my fully spaded match, is a plane that is great for people that want more of the Yak-15. It's probably going to be the best way to say it. I mean, it is slightly better, you know, at least on takeoff and landing, being that it does have that nose-mounted landing gear, and in theory, you know, might even be a little bit better because you don't really have to worry about fuel as much. It does have a better minimum fuel load than the Yak-15, so in theory, you're probably going to be a lot more capable with a minimum fuel load in this plane than you would with the Yak-15. So, you know, with the Yak-15, you might be tempted to take a 20-minute fuel load, whereas this, you can take a 10-minute fuel load and be just as good, if not better. So, it is what it is, but that said, let's get into the final match here, see what we can do, get into the fully spaded match. But yeah, I mean, I'm impressed thus far, but it just feels like a Yak-15 because pretty much that's what it is. So here we are, finally fully spaded, and as I alluded to, or really just straight up said in my previous match, this is again pretty much the Yak-15. I mean, there's not really much difference. It is probably a little bit better, being that it does have that bulletproof panel, the glass right there in the front. But, I mean, overall, you know, I'm not getting pilot sniped so much with this, but it doesn't really stop so much where, you know, if someone's behind you, they're still going to kill you pretty easily, or to the side, or whatever the case may be. Now, performance is more or less identical. I'm still not sure if that 200 or so kilograms of additional weight is really playing into this. What I can tell you is you'll probably see here reduced speed. This does have some decent enough wing rip issues where you really have to consider it. I'm not going to go after that guy's kill. He's already been killed by someone else. Wouldn't be fair to that fella. But there are some wing rip issues, but again, that's present on the other Yak, the Yak-15. The cannon, I'm noticing, isn't spectacular. Okay, he just dropped a bomb and damaged me. And it looks like this guy is trying to take my kill. Okay. Looks like it's not someone. Okay. Perfect. Cannons aren't spectacular. I am getting a good amount of kills with them, but it's not really something that I would say is phenomenal. You know, there are definitely better cannons out there, and the lack of ammunition on these cannons sucks, quite honest with you. Ooh, 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 turn up, turn up. He did some damage. Man, I'm getting a lot of crits. So they do crit pretty well. Again, it's just, I think, in my opinion, lack of ammunition is really going to be a big problem here. So in this final kill, I've gotten, what, 2 kills, probably an assist or 2, in really, really quick. So, again, I mean, this is a pretty typical match for me. I mean, typically, I don't do this poorly. I've actually been getting 3 kills a lot of the time. Very, very few times have I gotten anything less than 2 kills. So it's been a very impressive fighter. It's got great maneuverability, great handling, pretty much everything that you could want from a fighter of this type at this BR. And it has good enough speed where even though 700, 720 is probably where you're going to max out in a straight line, maybe even a little bit less than that, you should be able to catch most prop fighters, especially from a dive, but always watch out for your wings because they can and will rip very, very easily if you start off at a high enough speed going into a dive. But that being said, is this plane worth it? Yes, if you're a fan of the Yak-17 and you want more of it because, you know, it's a really good plane in that regard, but it doesn't really do anything to take away any Yak-15 weaknesses, and it's really just a Yak-15 clone with a bulletproof glass panel and also a different landing gear. So it's, again, a very good plane, but this is a pretty typical result for me. And like I said in several stock Spade videos in the past, my aim with these videos is not to show off, oh man, look at this crazy gameplay, look at this, that, and the other thing. I want you guys to get a good feel of how this vehicle is. From stock to spaded, I want to show you guys what a somewhat average match is. This is pretty much my most average match. 2 kills, 1 assist, that's it, you know, and there's not a lot of up tiers. It's a great vehicle, but I would only really recommend it for people who really, really love the Yak-15 and they want more of it. But that being said, thanks so much, everyone. Please, of course, consider liking, commenting, subscribing. I appreciate everything, but either way, thanks again, and I'll see you all on the other side. Take care, everyone.